What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? So today we're here with Anwar Jamison. Now, you remember the last time we interviewed the brother Power that came on? Great brother. He was standing in and speaking about the movie Coming to Africa, but now we actually have the director of Coming to Africa, Anwar Jamison. So thank you for joining us on the show today, brother.
Man, thank you for having me and doing what you do.
All right, Anwar, so before we get into that a little bit, tell people just a little bit about yourself, how you got into directing movies, etc.
Yeah, I'm originally from Racine, Wisconsin. I'm a Memphis-based filmmaker. I've been living in Memphis forever now, so this is home. But I've always been a writer, first and foremost. From a very young age, I took writing seriously. It's what I always wanted to do. When I was young, I thought I would be the next great Black novelist. I wanted to be Richard Wright. That was my hero when I was young, and I wanted to be like him and James Baldwin and all these people who wrote. But it was always the written word first. As I got older, then I pursued that. I got degrees in English. I became an English teacher, went to the collegiate level, became an English professor. So the film came as a second love. I went back to school. I was actually doing music at the time. I rapped, doing hip hop. And as I was working on that, it kind of started as a way to do my own videos. I just get in a situation where if I want to do something, I want to learn how to do it the right way. So at first, I really was thinking about, okay, I'll learn how to do my own videos, and then I'll learn how to do movies at the same time. And after that, I got bit with the bug. I love to direct, and I just took it from there.
All right, so you created a movie called Coming to Africa, and before we even discuss that, guys, I want to show you the trailer of this movie before we get started. So let's go ahead and roll this trailer.
Come on, man. Today I'm gonna be named the first Black vice president in the history of Bickerstaff and Company. The first.
So you took your skills, your expertise over to them to build up their company. You don't own any part of that.
Man, tomorrow night, me and the wife are out of here celebrating the 10th anniversary in the motherland, my brother.
Africa.
Even the mosquitoes got AIDS over there, man.
That's why you can't listen to nothing nobody say.
Yes. No.
Yes.
Ain't believe y'all got me going to Africa.
You about to go all the way over there to get something good deep down in here.
Yeah. I'm an African, real African. Ask me where I'm from.
A power to Ghana, my brothers.
I'm an African, real African.
And what are you planning to do with your time?
Hopefully spending every moment with you.
You wanna know where I'm from? West Africa. West Africa. West Africa.
The way they show us things when we grow up, it's like Africa is just one big place. I'm ashamed to say the things I thought about Africa.
Oh, say it.
Yeah, like I told you the other time, you see, my brother, he's into a lot of stuff around here.
You think I want to hang out with sport American kids for fun? No! Look at me. I'm about my money. Listen, remember who you are and where you come from.
We originated from the Big Six.
Yeah.
This mausoleum contains his final remains. He was the leader of Ghana until February 1966.
Y'all know exactly who you are, though. Like, I'm from this tribe, I speak this language, you got your culture, you got all the history. We gotta let people swab us in the mouth and take a DNA test and be like, oh, you're from Kenya. Oh, you're from Ghana. Like, we don't know.
We need to be able to buy every single item that we would get from them, from us. Take the African market, that concept.
West Africa. I'm an African, real African. You wanna know where I'm from? West Africa. West Africa. West Africa. I'm an African. Yeah, West Africa.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so you saw the trailer. So now let's get into having this conversation with Anwar. So Anwar, when did you have your very first trip to the continent of Africa? At what age?
In July 2019, at the same time that we shot the movie.
Oh,
For me, Right. That
So
was
you
the
never
thing.
went before?
I never went before. So the plan was to go before, get a trip in, tighten up the script, experience it, and then come another time. But, you know, things happen in the time they're supposed to happen. So those trips didn't happen. Something would come up. I couldn't go. And as time started going, I was like, man, I got to do this movie. So I just got it in my mind. Well, the first time I go is going to be when we shoot the movie. And as you know, as it would happen, being acting, playing that role in it, I originally wasn't even supposed to be acting in the movie, wasn't even supposed to be playing that role. But since I was acting in it, being over there for the first time actually worked to my advantage because the character was going through that. I was going through it for the first time. So I think that made the performance a little bit more authentic for me.
Okay, so you filmed the movie and then you still dealing with culture shock at the same time?
Right. You know, pretty much. So I'm absorbing the culture, getting up, moving through these streets. For the first time, I think I landed on July 3rd. And I think we start rolling on maybe July 7th, July 8th. So, you know, we had a few days over there. I had to hit the ground running. They had done auditions previously for the African roles, the lead roles. We pretty much handpicked and we had people in mind. But the vast majority of the cast you see, they came to open auditions, and man, it was hundreds and hundreds of people. So as soon as I got there, we started watching the video. They had recorded it for me. I had to watch all the performances. We had to choose the actors. So we had to hit the ground really running. So yeah, when we started shooting, I was still going through, you know, as you say, culture shock of just experiencing these things for the first time.
So let me ask you a question. What is the differences with doing a film on, you know, let's say you did it in Ghana versus doing a film here in the US? What's the differences?
For me, the thing about it, they kept trying to be, they were like, oh, the traffic, you know, things in Ghana, it's like, look, like in Ghana, you know, things, they don't happen at the time. You know, you might think you're going to get this done in an hour. It might take 4. And try to prep me to know that it wasn't going to move like they thought. But after it was finished, everybody around me, Power, and they were kind of made because this was meant to be. They was like, we ain't never seen nothing move like this in Ghana. You know, and they've been coming forever. So for me, I kept telling myself, I understand what y'all saying. Let's just have a plan to get to the set on time and move around as little as possible. Because in my mind, I know once I'm on the set, this is what I do and this is what we do. You know, we got professionals around us, so the crew is great. So for me, it's like once you get to the set, you set up, you start that process, it's the same, man. I was like, making a movie is going to be making a movie. And that's really what I experienced. So what was different was a little bit of that, having to move around, how the crew, you know, understanding, okay, y'all eat a full breakfast and a full lunch, you know, the stuff, you know, you working on the budget. I'm like, over here, we might, you know, eat a little something light and then a full lunch. They're like, no, we eat a full breakfast, full lunch. It's the little things they would do differently, talking to them, you know, making sure we speak in the same language, film language, right? Not language, but come to find out most of the things they work pretty much like we work. So we wanted to iron those little things out. But once we were on the set, yeah, man, it's filmmaking. It was the same.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is the same thing I had when I first went to the con, at least in 2018. I had literally almost an anxiety attack about, to find out they're the originators of Colored People Time. Because coming from Houston and the way I move like this, you know, and hey, time is a big thing for me. You know, I've always felt that if you're on time, you're late. That's just the way I move. So going over there, they just like you don't understand time. I like I never get my little anxiety attack I have about them not doing something on time.
The owner said, hey, that's funny. That's the exact why he's like, it's like, hey, they the originators of CP Time. Hey, we know where we got it from. But it's funny because when you study, and that's what they say though, like we joke about it and all that, but those things are cultural. It's like, okay, who first said, you know, on the clock, and this has to be done at this time, and this has to be, you know, that's a lot of us adapting to what we had over here. But it's like, you start doing stuff when the sun come up, you stop doing it when the sun go down if it get done in that day. It's a leap, you know, to see it done different culturally and saying, okay, they don't value time as much, but then you step back and say, like, who's right or wrong? There's really no right or wrong, right? But you see that it's a difference. And you're like, okay, you see how people could, you know, grow up. That's like, you know, my mother, man, out in Arkansas having to pick in the fields, you know. Those of us who, I'm like, my mother actually, you know, had to pick, her and her siblings had to get out there and pick cotton, you know, and help the family and all that stuff growing up in Arkansas. And it was that old sun up to sundown. And it was, you know, all of this stuff. So I get it, man, but it is, you're right, they the originators. And it's funny, one of the actresses, that's one of the things we were laughing about on the set one day, because I'm like, it's the similarities, but she was on the phone with somebody and she was supposed to be somewhere and she was giving her the whole, yeah, I'm pulling up in 5 minutes, I'm almost there. And when she hung up the phone, she kind of saw that I heard her and she was, you know, a little ashamed, like, oh, that's just something we say over here. I'm like, no, people say that over there too. They do that all the time. So that was funny, but yeah, man, that was a similarity I found, but to the extreme, like you say on that side.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. But you know, you had a lot of fun filming it, correct?
Man, very much, man. We had so much fun. The crew was so great. Everybody just bonded, and that was one of the things that being able to do it with the budget I had, being an independent filmmaker, and just going over there. And I know you and Power were talking about that, but the way that the money's going to stretch differently, how you can do different things. So I was able to have a crew that made me feel like, wow, this is my 4th movie, but I've never been able to move around with this type of crew with this many people, because I would have never been able to afford it for that many days. You know, so to move around, we used to doing it the film school way, you know, everybody doing 2-3 jobs, doing way more than you're supposed to have to do. But I was able to have a real crew and feel like this is what it feels like to have somebody in every role for real doing what they're supposed to do. And they were all taking their job really serious. You know, over there, I just feel like, you know, you look at us, I think sometimes we are spoiled in certain ways, you know, and look at it like certain things we're accustomed to. Whereas over there, they had that mentality like, I'm going to get the most out of every single thing, you know, out of every day, every minute. So I felt like the crew was really on point. So, and then afterwards, and the rap party, and even at night when we got done, you know, it was a real good experience just all the way through.
Yeah, man. And you talk about the budget itself. So like if somebody wanted to film, like, let's say like a small film, or you want to do a series, because I always said that the series style of things now are like, that's big, like doing like 8-episode series. You can be doing considered one movie, but you could break it up in 8 episodes and push it to these streaming services. So like what like over there, very I know here is more expensive. You know, how much would a person need to do something independently over there, like on average?
On average, I would say, and if you shot the whole thing there, because I came back, as high, I would say on average, I would say you could do something good over there for 50. You know what I mean? For 50,000. Saying on average, and then that's depending on what you shoot. You could probably cut that down some if you were doing something more, like you say, if it's more episodic, if it's more like a show, it all takes place mainly in one house and you don't have locations. You know, we move in locations, we're just doing all our stuff. But you probably could even beat that by a significant amount if it's all based mostly in a house or in a hospital or a setting, you know, sitcom type style. So yeah, and that's just depending. So me, I edit myself. You know, I'm the editor, so all of that matters, you know, where you can trim. I didn't have to pay nobody to edit, so that helps. So, you know, I would say if you were saying average, you could get some good quality over there like that. I would say 50. And again, depending on your resources, how creative, how much you do yourself, you could chop that down. So.
But here in the US, you would spend probably what, 100 to 150?
Easy. For the same thing, like easy. And again, it just depends, because it's going to be, again, how big is your crew, how many, because most of your budget is what people, and again, for me, that's getting to work like that, you know, seeing what a 7, 8, 9 person crew look like we getting this done compared to moving around with 25, 26 people, you know, or whatever is different, you know. So when you're looking at over here, it's the same. It's just, man, that's a weight off of you. You know, it's an extra weight and an extra strain. So, you know, you balance it. Over here would definitely be at least that for something comparable, you know. But again, it all depends on, you know, what kind of ingenuity you got. You try to cut corners and do what you got to do, because I've done things over here, obviously, for way less, but it wasn't anywhere near to the quality of this. You know, I wouldn't have been able to pull this off. So, yeah, I would say the same thing. I'm saying 50 over there. Yeah, you were playing for at least 150 over there. Probably more like 250, you know, like for the exact same thing that I'm saying you would shoot for 50 over there.
Yeah, because our money just is stretched so much further. And like I said, you could even pay, you know, your crew good money for them, but you like, man, I'm saving a whole lot of money over here versus, you know, over there. You know what I'm saying? Here, you ought to just get broke paying people. You know, that's what people don't understand about the continent. It's like you can have a whole crew over there for sometime what it cost, you know, for one worker here.
And yeah, man, and that's the thing is, that's what's great about it. I had that feeling and look around. I'm like, man, okay, it's only for a few weeks or whatever, but I'm providing some jobs, you know. And it's like you say, it's like we paying a living wage, you know. But over here, I can't pay somebody that. They're looking at me like, what I'm gonna do with this? So I'm like, there's a in between, and I think that's a model that we can use to connect with the continent more. If you have a business over here where you need manufacturing or something, or you need, it's like, man, you need these t-shirts made. You just need, it's like, we can provide jobs over there and make money over here. And there's a balance to it, you know, where you wouldn't be able to hire those employees over here. So that's how it is for film. So there's resources we have here and resources they have here. And there really is a synergy that we can have with them, that we can help our problems over here as Black Americans, all this stuff we be talking about, and try to get our businesses up, and at the same time be helping them over there by giving them a living wage.
I always tell people, if you could start your business here, learn the fundamentals of business here in America, and halfway do it good, you'll make a killing over there, as long as you got the fundamentals.
Exactly, man. And it really is that. And when you move around and all that, you start to, that's what I just started to see. It's like, man, we really do need each other. It's like, oh, this is why y'all really don't want to see this. This is why y'all really, because man, it's so much we can do over there. And again, it all leads back to here, so that when people talk about going back to Africa and all of the people who moving back, we know realistically most people are just not going to do that. It's not for everybody to do. Right. But you start to see how we can have ties over there. You know, one person in your family might really want to physically move there, and now he providing opportunities like, hey, take your money, put it over here, do this. You can be sending it back, you know, get money. You know, it's just ways to connect it, even if you're not physically there. And I'm loving to see how many more people are thinking, you know, in terms of that. And I think that can be a big, really big, big step towards, again, solving a lot of our problems that we have over here that we keep spinning our wheels about and saying, how can we do this? How can we do that? I think a lot of the answers are over there, you know, for both sides.
Yeah, right. So let me ask you a question, because I know, you know, some of our Nigerian brothers and sisters may be bringing this up. Have you tried to start connecting with those brothers and sisters in Nollywood?
You know what? I haven't yet. And it's a plan I kind of have as I'm writing this sequel and make some inroads. I've spoken to some people, and through a couple podcasts I did an interview on a Nigerian podcast and started some conversations with people. So I will definitely be looking to do that. But what I've seen more than anything is, because, like you say, Nollywood booming right now, so it's going to be a natural connection. But I remember seeing my first Ghanaian movies ever, and Nollywood was, I mean, they used to be neck and neck. You know, they were both in their infancy, and then Nollywood took off. And Ghana's looking around like, what happened? You know, we got left behind. And I get to have these conversations with them like, what happened to the industry? Why did this happen? So although I will be looking to connect with some of those and incorporate some of the Nollywood actors that people used to seeing now, because some of them are so visible now over here through Netflix and other things, I really see we have some plans in Ghana to help them kind of catch up, you know, to really focus on their industry and really help boost that, you know, because we'll collaborate, and I'd love to, you know, get footsteps and footprints in Nollywood. But as you see, they're going to be all right, you know.
The only thing I would say about, I've seen a lot of those Nollywood movies, and some of them are funny and things like that. I would say the only thing that Nollywood need is just some of the brothers and sisters to come in to tweak the writing. Once they get the writing tweaked and things like that, they'll be just about comparable to Hollywood. Just they need a little more money for the special effects. That's it. That's
a conversation I've had with people, because it's like the cinematography, the locations, the productions themselves, have went up levels and levels and levels. But I've heard other people say that, and that's what I say too sometimes. You know, I don't think overall, and there's some that's not to put everybody in a box, but overall, I would say, that's the storytelling. I don't think a lot of times it's caught up to everything else that they've, taken off and have done. Right. So with that being said, Brother Anwar, like I said, tell people how could they, get, check out the movie, how they can possibly get in touch with you, and maybe somebody that's gonna be watching, like, hey, I want to connect with Brother Anwar. I got a movie idea and maybe partner with him. How can they do that? And definitely, as far as seeing the movie, right now the movie is available on Amazon, Apple TV, and Google Play. You can get it on either 3 of those platforms. And that's pretty much worldwide. We're working on the translations right now, because I have people get at me like, hey, we speak, too. Some people, we got Africans here, but it's, when you starting out, it's mostly English speaking countries. But I had somebody reach out from the Netherlands like, bro, I can't get it. I'm checking Amazon. I'm like, oh, y'all, Dutch is y'all official language. So I got to go through different channels. So it's funny, but I'm glad the demand is out there and people reaching out from across the world. So you can see that on those 3 platforms. As far as reaching out to me, you can either email me. I mean, that's the quickest way, bkefilms@gmail.com, bkefilms@gmail.com. It's my company. And if you go to comingtoafricamovie.com, I'd love for people to go on there, comingtoafricamovie.com. You'll see the box pop up right away telling you to subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe in there so we have your emails. So sometimes we get so caught up in social media right now, which is very necessary in the quickest ways, but it's nothing like having email addresses, being able to build our directory where we can really stay in touch and really reach the people who are really, really interested. And then, speaking of social media, Instagram, Facebook is just Anwar Jamison. So for me, at Anwar Jamison on Instagram, you can just find me at Anwar Jamison on Facebook. Well, I got one question that popped in my head before we go, because they asked this question of Power, but it's better for me to ask you the question what that comment said. So the comment said that, why isn't the movie on Urban Flix or Quelly TV? Thank you. I'm so glad you asked that question, because I just responded to somebody in the comment section from Power's interview. Okay. Boom. So I'm glad you asked this, and I get this platform to explain it. So for everybody out there who would ask that question, you automatically connect the dots. Urban, Quelly TV. I actually had a great conversation with Deshauna Spencer from Quelly TV, and that's going to happen in its proper time, right? So this is the way it happens. So let me explain to everybody out there a little bit about the business. I know y'all equate Black movie with Black platform. It's a natural marriage. But just like they're Black companies building their brand, I'm a Black company, and we're building our brand as well. We have to stay in business. We still have to make money. So those are what you call subscription-based platforms. Subscription-based platforms don't bring money as what they would call a TVOD, but we call it transactional VOD. So when you go on Amazon right now, when you buy my movie or rent it, you're helping me make my money back and for us to make this money and keep going for the next movie. But what you do is you have windows. So we'll definitely be coming to Quelly TV and some of those others some months down the line, but there's windows, right? So just like Hollywood movies would go to the movies first, right? There's a reason you couldn't get that DVD on the same day it first came out, because they had to go to the box office to get their money back. And then you get it on DVD, because that DVD money wasn't going to be the same as when you running out to the theaters. That was their model. So for indie filmmakers, this is what we do. People keep asking me, how can I support you? How you can support me is go and buy this movie. That's how you can support us. So there's windows. So all the subscription-based platforms like that, we will be coming to those. It's not that we don't. I love what Quayle TV's doing. I told her, I love what y'all doing. And as we both build our brands, hopefully in the future, as they brand gets bigger, she's talking about getting the original content. Maybe down the line, as everybody grows, we can partner up and say, hey, this new movie is going to be an exclusive with Quayle TV. It's going straight there, you know. But when you spend an X amount of money on these movies, you have to get your money back first, bro. We a business just like the platforms are too. So that's why to answer that question, if I went straight to Quayle TV and Urban, what's the other one they said?
Yeah,
if I went straight to those, what I would have is I would have drained my budget. I would have drained all the money I have. I would get nowhere close to getting it back, and I'll never make another movie again unless somebody swooped in and gave me a whole bunch of money. So it's just business, you know. We look forward to the day where that provides enough, but that's what it is. So what we're doing now, Apple TV, Amazon, Google Play, yeah, help us get this money back. Help us get the money up for the next one. We spent a lot of money on this movie. I didn't have no mysterious investors in the background and all this. Like, no, this was me. Like I told people, like how you hear Hollywood Shuffle with Robert Townsend, he maxed out his credit cards and he got that. Well, mine is I tapped into my retirement. Like I say, I'm a professor. Like I went into my retirement. People was not trying to invest in this. Like they either didn't believe in it or they didn't have it. You know, I have some people I know believed in it. It just wasn't the right time. I had to go for what I know and make this movie. So I dipped into my retirement. I dipped into everything I had. Like I drained myself, you understand, to make this movie. So I need that back. You know what I mean? Period. So that's what it is. It's just a business, you know, and I look forward to it being on Quayle TV in 2021 and other platforms like that down the line. But that's how it goes. So it's just windows. Again, just like Hollywood's window was theater, you know, 3 months later, then DVD, 3 months later, it's just windows. So it's the same concept.
Okay, so now you guys understand it is business. And listen, I understand business more than most. That model, like he said, unless those platforms is willing to pay him not only the money back, but then a profit, I understand. Because usually Netflix now they buying content, and that's different, right?
And people don't even understand. See, even Netflix not doing that. So Netflix used to do that more so. Now that they've switched more to original content, they telling the indie filmmakers, or they are if you lucky, everybody trying to get to them, but they'll offer you some little chump change up front. You know what I mean? It's not like they were. Like they focused on that. Once they switched over to their original content, yeah, they started like lowballing the independent filmmakers. Now they're doing something different on the continent, you know, Africa and some of the stuff. So whatever they're doing there is kind of different. So there's even talks with that. You know, we might end up there, but yeah, it has to make business sense. We all running a business, man, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, I definitely hear you on that, brother. If it's not like a big crowdfunding budget that's coming in, then you got to try to make your money back. Listen, I hear you 100%. And like I said, I always say that's like my next stage of the game, and start getting into, you know, filmmaking, things like that a little later for me, kind of when I get some more things set up, because there's a lot of stories in my head that I'm not seeing told that come from, like say, our community here, or even what happens on the continent as well. So I'm learning all from what you're saying about, you know, the way the budgets work. So I'll support you 100%. You got to get your money back. I mean, it is bottom line. So support the brother on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Google Play, support, because, you know, we got to support our Black filmmakers. So Anwar, we definitely thank you for joining us on the show today and taking up time to talk with us.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Keep doing what you do, man. These are the platforms that we need. For real. So appreciate you.